Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. On the rocket's red the bombs were stealing in, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order. Colors. Outward. Move. Forward. March. Mark time. March. Colors. Halt. Center. Face. Ready. Step. Post. Ready. Move. Left. Face. Mark time. March. Forward. March.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Good morning. It is my pleasure to have you here today. I'm Alexander Logan, the president of the campus here of Chastain at Indiana University College. As you know, a public institution of higher education. We have around 22,000 students, many programs, and we're very happy that you're here. I'll have a few short closing remarks when we're finished with the event. Now, let me talk a little bit about Congressman Mass. Congressman Brian Mass is in his third term representing the 18th Congressional District of Florida. Prior to his election to Congress, Brian followed on his father's footsteps to serving in the United States Army for more than 12 years, earning medals including the Bronze Star Medal, the Army Commendation Medal of Valor, the Purple Heart Medal, and the Defense Meritorious Service Medal. While deployed in Afghanistan, he worked as a bomb disposal expert under the Elite Joint Special Operations Command. The last improvised explosive device that he found resulted in catastrophic injuries, which included the loss of both his legs. While lying in bed recovering at Walter Reed Medical Center, Brian's father gave him advice that has stuck with him to this day. To ensure the greatest service he gave to our country and the best example he set for his children was still ahead of him. Brian took this advice to heart and dedicated himself to finding new ways to serve our country and his community. Brian remained on active duty following the injuries and provided expertise to the National Nuclear Security Administration and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms during his recovery process. After his retirement from the Army, he continued working in counterterrorism and national defense as an explosive specialist with the Department of Homeland Security. Brian subsequently received a degree from Harvard University and volunteered to serve alongside the Israel Defense Forces to show support for the freedom Israel represents throughout the Middle East and the world. Please welcome our Congressman Brian Mass.
Really glad to see you all here this morning. As all the recruiters know, This is, for me, one of the favorite things that I get to do as representative, as one of 435 representatives around the country that are going out there right now assessing kids in their community, I call y'all kids affectionately, to give them recommendations, nominations to the service academies. I take it very, very seriously in a way that, not to insult my colleagues, I don't think many of my colleagues do. Some of them just do virtual Zoom calls, talk to somebody for a couple of minutes, maybe it's somebody that their family knows, and so they're going to give them a recommendation. That's not how we do things in my office. We give you a physical assessment. We give you a board. We're going to evaluate you as a whole person, a whole individual. I'm not just going to give you the recommendation because you got a 4.0 or because you lettered in 4 different sports or whatever it is. We're going to evaluate you as a whole person. This board that I have up here, they will go out there and they will evaluate you. And this is something important for you all to know. It doesn't matter how well you know me. Doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent or a non-voter. Doesn't matter if you made a campaign contribution to my campaign or not, or have never made a contribution ever before in your life. We don't look at those things. I create the hoops that I want you all to jump through in order to seek my nomination. I do not judge those hoops whatsoever. My board judges those hoops, and I take the recommendation of my board, who are career military personnel from all branches, officer, enlisted, you name it. They know what they're looking for, and I will take their recommendations 100%. That way, nobody can ever go back and say, well, hey, you knew that person's family, and that's why you gave them a recommendation, or that person was on the other side of the political aisle, so you didn't do that, or you name it, right? That's not what it's about. If you get a nomination, a recommendation, it's because you earned it, because you were more competitive. And this briefing session today is all about helping you to understand the process and helping you to understand how between now and in the beginning of December, do we have the date yet, Jordan? Where are you doing?
Yeah,
When are we assessing?
November 1st is the deadline for documents, and then the first weekend of December for the assessment.
First weekend of December, between now and the first weekend of December, to make yourself as competitive as possible. So take notes, know what we're going to be looking at, and show up ready. Because if you don't show up ready, you're not going to get my nod to go to one of the academies. That's just a fact. We have a standard, and we're going to hold you to it. I can nominate 10 people for each academy. If there's nobody that wants to go to one of the academies that cuts the mustard, then I won't recommend anybody to go to that academy because they don't meet the requirements that we set forward to say that's the bar, that's the minimum bar that we're going to tell you to go to. One of the other things that I want to talk about briefly is this, and hopefully our recruiters talk about this as well. If you're not the most highly ranked going out of our selection and assessment process to get that nomination, don't be as discouraged as what you might think you could be. One of the things I hope they talk about is that there are also preparatory schools for these academies, where after graduation from high school, you go to a preparatory school, and then you come back from that preparatory school for a year, and you select and assess again to go to one of the service academies. Year after year, the kids that maybe in their senior year of high school are not quite as competitive to go to one of the academies, after they go to the preparatory school and they come back from that year of preparatory school, every single year they rank among the highest that we will recommend to any of the academies, and quite often end up getting those nods to the academies. So it's another thing to think about. It's another part of that process. If this is a dream of yours, a passion of yours, and you're committed to pursuing that path of serving our country, then think about that as well. If you come out of this not being as competitive as what you need to be in order to get to that place that you want to be. Let's talk about a couple of other things before I talk about the things that Jordan wants me to talk about. So, somebody on Twitter, when I was posting on Twitter, hey, we're going to have this informational session, there's Twitter trolls out there everywhere, and some prick asked the question, he says, what would make anybody want to serve in the military that talks to a guy with no legs? Right. I deal with pricks all the time. There's no big deal. But what about that? It's an important question, in part. Know what it is that you're asking to get into. This is the armed forces. I love the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, but this ain't the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. Know what it is that you're asking to do. Know what it is that you're asking to defend. Know what may happen at some point during your career. What may be asked of you. Because the fact of the matter is, I've lost a lot of friends in military service, which is one of the reasons that I take this so seriously. Because what you're asking to do is to not just go join the service. That in itself is incredibly commendable. You're asking to go to our nation's top schools, go to those academies, and come out a leader of others. You come out of one of those service academies, you're an officer. I was an enlisted man. It didn't matter that I was in 12 years of service. You come out a day one officer, by technicality, you're higher ranked than I am. You come out a leader of others. So you better be a damn good leader. Because if you're not, other people are going to pay the price of bad leadership. And that's happened time and time again in the military. I'm very serious about making sure that my friends that are still serving this country do not have bad leaders over top of them, because that might mean their life. That's the seriousness, right? Know your oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I might ask you questions on that in the board, or when you show up to be selecting and assessing. Does anybody here right now know any of them, your 5 basic freedoms? Students, not parents. Any of you students know the 5 basic freedoms? Know one of them? I'll give you guys a hint. Right? Freedom of assembly. Anybody know another one? What you got?
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of religion.
Freedom of religion.
Freedom of the press.
Freedom of the press. One more tough one out there. People always forget it.
Right to bear arms.
Close, right? That's certainly one of your constitutional rights.
Right to defend yourself.
Not exactly. It goes with the Second Amendment, right? Well-regulated militia for the purpose of a free state, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Know your Constitution.
Petition the government.
Petition the government. Those are your 5 basic freedoms. Know what it is that you're asking to do. It's important. It's part of our whole person evaluation of you. If you don't know what you're asking to defend, how can you really defend it? Right? So I think you guys get the point of what it said. So we're going to go into some of the finer details of what's going to be expected of you when you come and select and assess with me, and then you're going to have the opportunity to hear from each of the recruiters. I'm going to make one other high-level recommendation to all of you, and that's this. Keep your options open. Think about every single one of these academies. Even if you came in here saying, I want to go to Air Force Academy, it's the only thing I want to do. Think about every one of these academies. Think about the Coast Guard Academy. Think about the Merchant Marine Academy. Think about the Naval Academy. Think about West Point. Or if you were thinking about one of those, think about the Naval Academy, right? Think about all of those. Keep your options open, and you're going to be better served to have that opportunity to go out there and serve your country the way that you want to, because this is competitive. You're not just competing here in this community. You are competing against students around the country. So make yourself as competitive as you can be, and this information session will help get you guys there. So let's talk about some important steps here. Number 1, connect with your desired service academies before applying for nomination with my office. It matters that these folks hear from you. They will give you important information about the school that you're thinking about, or maybe if you never thought about the school that they're representing and you didn't know a thing about it, learn something about it, because you might decide that might also be a really great path for you as well. It might actually be a better path for you as well than the one that you were thinking. Keep those options open. Talk to them. They can do college visits. Absolutely. They can do college visits to these campuses, just like you could to University of Florida or Florida State or Miami or something else, right? Think about doing those visits. If you're serious about doing it, know what you're you're getting yourself into, because you're going to be better served by taking a look at that and deciding, is your desire that much more elevated because of what you went out there and witnessed? Or did it knock a little bit off of your desire and you're going to go there and be unsuccessful because you're getting yourself into something that you're not really asking for, right? Know those things about yourself. Submit a complete application to my office with all required forms by the November 1st deadline. You can submit applications for multiple schools. You don't just have to be committed to one school. You can submit to multiple schools. I encourage you to think about multiple schools because our board of people, they're going to recommend. You might come in and say you want to go to this school. But they might come out of it saying, listen, we're willing to recommend you for this school. We think you'd be more competitive for this school. We think this and this and this. Be open to that, right? Be open to that, and you will be better served for yourself. The other thing that I would tell you is this. In the military, we always say if you're not 5 minutes early, then you're already late. Be on time. We're laying out for you right now the basic parameters of what's required to do this. So don't come to me on November 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and say, hey, here's my application. We're giving you the deadlines right now. Prove to us right now so that these folks don't have to ask you in the board, hey, we put on the board November 1, how come you turned in your packet on November 8? I thought you were squared away. I thought you could follow basic orders, right? Demonstrate that stuff right away. Because if you do, that's part of us evaluating the whole person and knowing who it is that you are as an individual, that you can do the basic things. Prepare yourself for the rigorous physical fitness assessment and the obstacle course. This is not a secret. It is the military. It is physical. I served in our highest level of special operations. I loved it. It was the time of my life. I couldn't do that if I was not physically fit. You're asking to go out there and be the leaders of others. If you're going to lead others, you better at least be as physically fit as the ones that you're asking to lead, and should probably be more physically fit than the ones you're asking to lead, right? If you're telling somebody that they're not going to get promoted for whatever reason because their physical fitness isn't up to this level, but yours isn't either, that's hypocrisy. And we're not looking for hypocrisy in the military. We're looking for doers, people that overcome, people that want to be the absolute best. This selection and assessment process is a meritocracy. That's what it's all about. We want to see your merit in earning. Do we have the details on the physical assessment? All of them, the Army's PT test?
It's hard.
It's hard. We're going to make you do a run. I don't think, is that still,
No,
is that still part of the
next
PT test? It's the next slide. Okay, so we'll go to that in a second. We'll go to the rigors of that. Just so you know, you have several months to get yourself ready. If you don't think you're ready, or if you don't think you're going to be as competitive as you want to be, then start hitting the road in the gym, after school, every day, whatever, to get yourself to the point that you need to get yourself to. Because it's a part of it. It's not all of it. You know, maybe you're a 4.0, but your academics are right here. Or maybe you're a 3.0, but your SAT is up here, and your physical fitness is up here. You're all going to be a different combination of things. But the more competitive you can make yourself in everything that we're looking at, the more competitive you are. And that's what it's about for you guys. Prepare for yourself for the panel with the interview board and our distinguished selection board. As I said, these individuals, they spent careers in the military. Don't try to BS them. Be honest with them, right? They want your honesty. They want to get to know you. They want to help guide you to a path of success. There's not one of our recruiters or one of our board members that wants to send somebody off to one of the academies that's going to quit in year one. Because they can't cut it physically and it's just too much for them. Or they can't cut it academically. Or because they don't have the right heart inside of them that allows them to overcome. I always tell people this. I had explosions in my life, literally, physically. Right? I had explosions in my life. We all have explosions in our life. Physical explosions, emotional explosions, explosions with our family, explosions with work, explosions with 100 different things. Are you individuals that overcome the explosions in your life? Or are you individuals that get destroyed by the explosions in your life? We're looking for the overcomers. So tell us about that, right? Let us know what you're all about. You all have probably places in your life where you didn't quite get exactly where you wanted to be, where you failed something, where something wasn't at as high a level as what you want. Let us know what you learned from it, how you overcame it, how you're going to be better. Be honest with us. That's the goal, right? That's the goal for us to help get you forward. I was told people with drill sergeants. The drill sergeants, their job in the military was not to make me fail. It was to put extremely difficult things in front of me and show me that I could accomplish them. That was the point of them. That's what they accomplished, right? So show us how you accomplish in spite of whatever's going to be put in front of you at these academies, how you're going to be successful, how you're going to get yourself ready, and you'll earn our recommendation. Let's go to the next slide. So, required documents. Maybe it's not the exact next slide. Maybe. So, it's one of the other things we do. We get a lot of elbows in on one another. I was getting my elbows in on our Naval Academy recruiter earlier. I joke about it this way. I could go to the Department of Veterans Affairs, sit down there waiting to get a blood draw or something like that. It could be a World War II veteran next to me from some other branch of the military. The first thing that we'll say to one another will be some dig about the other branch that the other individual served in. But the fact of the matter is, we're all brothers and sisters in arms that love this place enough to give our lives for it. And in that, we joke, but we love each other. So I like to joke with my brothers. All right, so let's talk about the required documents. Completed application. Completed. That's pretty important. Completed, right? Not looking for half measures. Academic recommendation form, right? Look at that. Go out there. Get things from the highest possible level that you can get things. Passport size photo. Get that done in advance. Don't wait till the night before and not be able to find a 24-hour photo lab, or you don't have a printer or whatever it is, right? Get those things done well in advance. Official high school and college transcripts. Official SAT and ACT scores. You need to request those things in advance. If you wait till the day before, you will not have the official items that you need. So prepare yourself by going home this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon and start working on getting those things so that you can have them and that you're not scrambling in the last minute. 3 sealed letters of recommendation, resume or notable achievements, on a document, accident waiver and release of liability form. These are all things that you need to have done. Get those things done. Again, it's competitive, right? If you scribble it on a piece of paper, somebody on our board is probably going to ask why your work looks like crap. If you present it in a really good way, somebody on our board is probably going to compliment you on your good work and be impressed with something that you did. It's a whole person evaluation, so be a whole person. All right, fitness assessment. So here's a little bit on it. We're going to do it. We'll have we'll have the Army recruiting team from South Florida. They will come out and they will conduct the physical assessment. We can choose any of the branches to do their PT tests. The goal is to see how you perform. How do you literally score? Because there is a literal score to that, so we can literally rank you against other people. Be able to perform a proper, is there push-ups still on here? Let's say proper air squat. Do they not do push-ups anymore? I don't know why the Army.
The hand release push-up is the more advanced.
I'm upset that the Army got rid of regular push-ups, but that's a different argument for another day. Be able to do these things properly. Watch some videos on them. If you've never done any of these physical activities, go out there and practice them between now and the day that we assess you. I can't tell you how many times I have young people that come to our selection and assessment board, they're told the requirements, and they can't run a mile down the beach. If you can run a mile, great. I'm telling you right now, you're going to be running a mile in the sand. If you go to a service academy, you're going to be running a hell of a lot more than a mile. So get yourself ready. And if you can't do it on the sand, there's lots of sand in South Florida, so go find yourself some sand and practice on it so that you can perform well when you come see us in the first week of December. All right? Go back to that, Jordan. Hand release push-up, sprint, drag, carry. That's one that always burns people out. How much is the weight that they have to drag around?
50 pounds.
50 pounds, which is dragging across the ground. It's not like you're carrying it, you're dragging it, so there's a little bit of drag, obviously, on it. So you might want to practice that, right? Attach something to a rope, try dragging it around the yard a little bit. Don't mess up your parents' grass too much. We'll do that over at the SEAL Museum. Plank holds, air squats, 1 mile beach run, completion of the Navy SEAL Museum obstacle course. It's open to every one of you right now. If you want to take your time and go up to the Navy SEAL Museum on any given day or weekend, it's in Fort Pierce, that's where the selection and assessment will be. You have the option to go there and practice that if you want, so that you can be familiar with the obstacles and be more competitive when you're trying to go out there and do it. If you want to be more competitive, then take the time to go do it. If you're not worried about it, then don't do it. But that's up to you. We want you guys to know the requirements. All right. Interview, selection, and notification. So, interviews are conducted by the panel of Service Academy alumni and retired military leaders. Like I said, go in there preparing to be honest with them. They're going to know if the only reason you want to go to West Point is because you've got 2 generations of your family that went to West Point and you're really just getting pressured into it because that's the case and you don't really want to go there. And they're going to take note of that. Maybe they might come away feeling like you really don't have a desire to go to that school. And they're going to write that down accordingly, and they're going to assess you accordingly. Maybe it doesn't mean that you don't do or don't get a recommendation, but they are going to know that. They're going to extract that from you. They might say you're better suited going to this other school, or you're not suited going there at all, because they don't think you're going to hack it. And you're going to end up being an individual that quits. So go there, be honest, look at yourself in the mirror before you go there, and know what you're really getting yourself into and what you really want to do. Right? That's easy. So the panel of leaders, be respectful to them, show up on time, show up presenting yourself with your best foot forward. The best possible way that you think that you can present yourself, you should do that, right? Your appearance, your dress, your everything, present yourself well. Because it is an interview board. So you're being interviewed, you're being evaluated, it's a whole person evaluation. Selections will be finalized within days of the interview board. That is to say, who my board recommends, and those that we are saying, hey, you're ranked 1 through 10 for West Point or Naval or Air Force or Merchant Marine Academy, Coast Guard Academy actually does not need my recommendation, but they were kind enough to join us because we want you all to know that that is another option for you. It's just a slightly different path to get to the Coast Guard Academy than what it is for the other academies. But these boards, they need my recommendation. I can recommend 10. As I said at the beginning, if there's 0 that we believe are good enough that want to go to that school, I won't recommend anybody. If there's 5, there might be 20 of you that want to go to one school, but only 5 of you that we think actually reach the competitive level, then I'm only making 5 recommendations. If there's 20 of you that reach that competitive level and I can only make 10 recommendations, then it's going to come down to how you performed on those things, right? So let's give an example. If 2 of you have the exact same GPA and the exact same SAT, and it comes down to, we're going to fill up every slot for a school, what do you think it comes down to for who I'm going to recommend? Who has the higher PT score? Probably, right? Something like that. So if you think you can get 1 more rep out of something, you better push yourself to do that, right? Or if you think you can advance yourself with your extracurricular and your volunteer work and things like that, you better do that. You got time to do it? Do it. So anyways, our board recommendations, they'll be finalized within a couple of days. You will know if you're getting my nomination, my recommendation to go to that school. You will hear from the actual school. When will they hear from the school?
It could range to June sometime.
Up to June?
Yeah.
You'll hear from the actual school sometime between, let's say, the new year and June. Whether the school is actually offering you the appointment to that school. The school usually lets me know beforehand, 24 to 48 hours beforehand, and then I get the honor of being able to call you and say, hey, Dan, good job. The school wants to offer you this appointment, and hopefully you're going to choose to go out there and take it. But you don't get to that point without doing all of those steps ahead of time. So do all those steps ahead of time. Last point on there, all applicants will be notified of their nomination results via official mail by December 16th from our office. Do I have another slide on this? All right, so we'll do a little bit of Q&A for me, not too long. Then these guys are going to present to you, which will answer more of your questions. So I'll do a quick couple minutes of Q&A, but then we'll get to these folks. Yes, sir.
Congressman, great presentation. Just to confirm, though, what you're explaining with this track, is this primarily for youths that are in their senior year of high school or junior high school? How are you appropriating with your high school?
So you're only getting a nomination to the school if you're ready to graduate high school and move on to university.
Senior year.
Now, truthfully, if one of you guys got a junior or a sophomore or something that wants to come out and compete because they want to know what it's all about and they're interested in doing it in their senior year and they want to be more competitive, I don't care. I'm happy to run them through this. Shows me a level of commitment that they want to come out and select and assess and prepare this year. We might not put them through the board because it is a lot of time and effort for our board members to do it. But if they want to come out, see what the competition looks like, the caliber of people that are competing, I don't care. Let them come out. My 10 to 12-year-old boys, they might go out there and run against some of you all. So you can't beat my 10 to 12-year-old boys, I'm just saying. Bear that in mind. Might not be ready. What else do you want? Yes?
Congressman asked, would you prefer the essay to be typed or handwritten, and what's the maximum word count?
Do we have a 4-minute answer on that?
Yeah, so you can whatever you like. You can write it by hand. No maximum word count.
Gotcha, thank you.
Whatever you think is the best possible way to present it. I did well in school, after high school. I didn't do well in school, which is why I didn't apply here. If I was smart, I would have been like you all and made this as a path. But I did well in university. And one of the things that I always disagree with university on, because in the real world, if somebody comes into my official office and it takes them 30 minutes to explain something, they probably lost me after 3 minutes in part, right? So, you look at some of the great speeches, in this world. President Lincoln's Gettysburg Address was something like 780 words, something like that. Be able to explain things concisely. Personally, I think there's some advantage in that, being able to do it more concisely than being able to do it in 10,000 words, but that's my opinion. Do it with you is best. So, what else y'all got? Yes, ma'am.
So we need to make an appointment to go to the Navy SEAL Museum obstacle course to practice. And two, could you explain a little bit more about the preparatory schools, if that needs to be an option, like in between high school and college?
Yep, so number one, Navy SEAL Museum, I don't know their exact hours of operation. I want to say they're 7 days a week, maybe 6 days a week. You go there and you tell them, I love the folks at the Navy SEAL Museum, they're all retired military personnel. If you tell them that, hey, I'm one of, the congressman's applicants for the service academies, I want to go out here and practice the obstacle course, I'm almost certain that they will just let you go out there and do it at any hours. I don't even think there's admission there. It's all donation if you want to get it. So there's not even an admission price to the museum. It's just if people want to walk in and actually make a contribution, you don't have to. But go in there. In the Navy SEAL Museum, if you've never been in there, actually inside of it, it's a good example of what happens in all branches of the military. It has equipment in there from real Navy SEAL military operations like the rescue of Captain Phillips and a host of other operations, right? Take a look at what you're getting yourself into. Go out there and practice the obstacle course. It's directly on the beach, so you can practice your beach run while you're there, things like that. But it's a good question. Let's just take this to one of you folks. Who can best explain the process for the preparatory academies? You want to do it? Yeah, just give them an overview on that.
Thanks, sir. So there are civil prep academies, and this is for West Point. So my name is Chris Lake. I represent West Point. And then you have the Army Preparatory School. The Army Preparatory School is primarily intended for soldiers who are serving in active duty units throughout the world as enlisted soldiers and are interested in applying to West Point. They may not have the grades required, or maybe it's been some years since they've been in high school and they just need to brush up on the books. And then the Army Preparatory School also is intended these days for recruited athletes, primarily. There are not a lot of kids, if you're not a recruited athlete and if you're not coming in from the ranks, then you're probably not going to land at the U.S. Army Preparatory School, which is based up at West Point. But there are I believe three other civil prep schools. Marion Institute is one of them, New Mexico Military Institute, and there's one other out there, I think. That is an option. And that's an option that the admissions office will discuss with your son or daughter individually. If and when we've kind of gotten to the end of the road, they have not been offered an appointment at West Point, but if the admissions officer believes that there is some considerable promise there, and that one-year prep school would make sense.
Anybody have anything to add on the prep schools, different for a branch?
Yeah, I'm Second Lieutenant Taylor Cotton, representing the Air Force Academy. I just like to say for the preparatory schools, we have two options that we offer to you. I'd like to hone in and say that they are offers. You cannot just request to have the Falcon Scholarship or the Air Force Academy Preparatory School as an alternative to an appointment. They're 8-month-long programs. We don't necessarily exclude or focus in on enlisted members being the primary source of those. However, that does sometimes shake out that way. But they can be offered to any individual. So that's something I'd like to hone in. And then there's also self-prep options. So let's say you don't earn that appointment and you don't earn that scholarship, nor admits into our preparatory school on campus. You're more than welcome to pursue a preparatory school outside of those areas and work on yourself for that 8 months to a year and really improve your chances for appointment following.
Very good. Any other more questions for me? Yes, sir.
The preparatory school protocol and path, would you get freshman credits of college by going through that?
I went to the Naval Academy Foundation. I went to New Mexico Military Institute. It was a junior college.
Right, okay.
So I took junior college classes. I played varsity sport at the junior college, so I lost a year of sports eligibility, and I got a year of college under my belt. You start from scratch, though. When you go to the academy, you take all those classes again. Basically, they put you through a rigorous curriculum. You have to maintain a 3.0. If you maintain a 3.0, you get the nomination, you get the appointments. If you don't, then you've got a year of college under your belt, and you go look to do something else.
So that 1 year of college under your belt, once you transition over to the academy, you still have to go through 4 years of the academy.
Absolutely, and it's a great prep opportunity because I went through that year of prep. I had rigorous high school academics, and the academy academics is brutal.
One last question, are you eligible to take the SAT again in that prep year as well?
You don't need to.
No need to, okay.
Anything else for me? Yes.
If we receive nomination for one service academy from the senator, can we apply for another service academy for a year?
Yes, right? You could receive, look, if you're, top on everything, top on physical, top on SAT, top on, 4 years of academics in school, and if you're ranked number 1 for West Point, chances are you might also be ranked number 1 for Navy, ranked number 1 for Air Force, ranked number 1 for Merchant Marine Academy, and ranked number 1 for Coast Guard Academy, and they might all be competing to have you attend their school. I would be saying that correctly, right? So, and at that point, you've made options for yourself based upon your performance of 4 years. So yes, you could be, ranked in that way, but maybe you don't want to apply to all of the schools, and there's just some that you want to go to. So that's something to keep in mind. Yes, sir.
One, I wanted to say thank you for your service, but my other was, can you do ROTC and then transfer over to a prep school? Is that how that works?
To a prep school?
Or into one of the academies?
Yes, that happens frequently. Students will not get the nomination. They'll go to a prep school. They'll reapply. We'll have them here again as a freshman, and then they'll go to the academy and they'll start over.
And if I could, for those credits, so for instance, if you have that year at the prep school or with ROTC, you're more than welcome to attempt to collect classes, so earn credits and kind of knock those classes out for, after you get that appointment at the academy. And for any other ROTC related questions, I actually have my second lieutenant in the back. He's an ROTC representative, and that goes across for any branch. He's a really great resource. I know that a lot of times you have, Plan Bs or even Plan As for ROTC, so we also have that resource here as well.
So I'm going to close the questions for me at this time and just, say this. There are options for, to get in the traditional path. There are options where they may offer you, I didn't mean to say it in a way that you can just apply to a prep school. There are options where they may offer you a prep school. There are options where you may go to a junior college or a four-year college or a state college or whatever school and join the ROTC and, you know, pursue an academy. There are options where you may go straight into an enlistment in the military and be in there for a year or two, I don't know what the exact age limit is, and pursue an academy. There are numerous options down the road to move into the academies, but I want to allow these presenters to move into their presentations, and then they will be here to answer more questions to you. So we're going to start with West Point, and in that, I'm going to say thank you to all of you. You guys take your time year after year to help pour yourselves into the youth and their parents and answer their questions. So thank you to you all for doing it, to all of our parents. Thanks for raising patriots that want to serve this country. Let me just start by asking this. Do you love America?
Yes, sir.
Do you love America?
Yes, sir.
You better damn well make me believe it. I'm serious, right? We want patriots that love this place. Show us how much you love this place by preparing yourself to go serve this place. And you will serve yourself best. So I'm proud of you all for being here to attend this part of it. I'll be even more proud to see you all in the beginning of December, and I'll be even more proud than that to see you all receiving your appointments to the desired schools that you want to go to. And in that, listen to these recruiters, and we'll catch you all another day.
And just a quick note of housekeeping. This event is being recorded, so if you do have a question at the end of a presentation, please utilize the microphone in the center of the room. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. So, just listen, Congressman. Yes. Well, he's not here to hear this, but I sincerely want to thank Congressman Mass for his service first and foremost to our country, both active duty military and then what he's doing today in Washington, D.C. And I also want to thank him and his staff, Jordan Merjudo. Jordan's managing a phenomenal process here. And to put it in context, I'll tell you that I've been doing this for about 15, 16 years. And I represent 5 different districts here in South Florida. And I can tell you that there are some nominating authorities who don't take this process seriously at all. They hand out nominations, and there's even been one representative down here who doesn't give nominations to students, candidates for the service academies. Apparently that nominating authority just doesn't agree with the military. What she doesn't necessarily understand is she's depriving her constituents with an opportunity to serve this country or do something that they want to do. But I will tell you that Congressman Mass and Jordan over here have put together a really comprehensive, thorough process to vet candidates who are going to go on and attend a service academy and ultimately serve in our armed forces, leading some of your other brothers, sisters, sons, daughters in hostile environments throughout the world. So I think it's great what you're doing, Jordan. Thank you very much. Thank you, Congressman, for us. And with that, we'll get started. Can I ask all of the candidates in the room to stand up just so I can see how many candidates we have in the room? That's awesome. Those of you who are interested in West Point, can you raise your hand? That's awesome too. You can sit down. If West Point candidates can sit down. For the rest of you who are still standing, I'm just going to tell you right now, don't give up on yourself. You can continue to shoot high. West Point isn't nearly as difficult as you may have been led to believe, okay? So you can all sit down. I'd also like to thank parents out here too. Look, the reason why I think we all do this is because we get to work with great kids on a daily, weekly basis. And great kids typically come from great homes, supportive parents, and it's what makes it enjoyable for us. So thanks to all of you. Give yourselves a pat on the back. West Point, there's a mission. I encourage you to read that. Read it once, read it 10 times, read it 50 times if you plan on coming in for an interview. I personally want to see that you know what West Point is all about, what the process is all about, and what we hope to accomplish after you spend 47 great months with us up in New York. That can be found on the website. So a typical question we get is, what are you looking for in a candidate? That's what we're looking for. This is how we're going to approach your development as a U.S. Army officer. We're looking to develop you in areas of academics, physical, character, and naturally, military. So I'm going to zip past some of these slides. You probably all have seen this. We're not a bad school. We do pretty good things out there, and when you graduate from West Point and you put that ring on and you go out off into the world, whether it's in the military or as a civilian, people are going to recognize that ring and they're going to understand the quality of an individual that you are. This is what some of the public has to say about us right now. The faculty, it's a great curriculum. You'll find that just about every class is comprised of possibly 15 students per class. We don't fill up large lecture halls with 2,000 students. Every student, have I been drinking? Was that the question?
In most other circumstances, that may be the case. Can I interrupt you for 1 second? There's one other quick thing that I wanted to say that's important on my mind. There's a lot of political BS going on in the world, in my opinion. All right? Don't let, in my recommendation, don't let some of these things discourage your desire to serve your country. This country, in my opinion, is bigger than me. It's bigger than us as individuals. It's bigger than Donald Trump. It's bigger than Joe Biden. It's bigger than the 435 members of the House of Representatives, the 100 members of the Senate, and the sometimes idiotic policies that come out of Washington, D.C., and unelected bureaucrats and people in the Pentagon. Don't let some of those stupid things that are occurring discourage you. Any line of work that you go into in life, you're going to have things that you like and things that you don't like. You got to take the good with the bad, or the bad with the good, right? And some of those things I don't think are permanent. That's just, it was on my mind. I forgot to say it earlier, last encouragement that I wanted to make, and in that, I'll give it back to you. Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you.
So that's where we stand academically. Roughly 50% of all professors that cadets have are going to be active duty professors, captains, or majors, typically between the ages of 27 and 31, 32 years old, and then some lieutenant colonels and colonels. We have 30% of our professors serving as civilians, and then the remaining 20% are, again, active duty, typically full colonels who are permanently assigned to West Point. It is a military experience for the most part. These are the majors that you have to choose from. Much of what I'm showing you right now you can find on our website, so I really don't want to dwell on these slides. I do want to take the last 5 of my 15 minutes just to talk about admissions and the process. But we don't offer band as a major. That question comes up in our interviews sometimes, and that's never a good question, by the way. Consider the questions that you may want to ask in your interview process and how relevant they may be. Again, we are a military academy. You'll get military training in the summers at West Point and a certain amount of military training throughout the academic year. In the summer, you'll attend what's called cadet basic training or beast barracks, as it's been called for the last 150 to 170 years perhaps. Those are the things you'll learn during beast barracks. The second summer, you'll participate in what's called cadet field training. It's all the cool stuff. It's very physical. You'll learn how to throw a 50-pound rug on your back and march for 12 miles through the forest, up and down hills. If you haven't been to West Point, New York, there are a lot of mountains. And believe me, they find every single mountain for you to go up and down while you're there over the summer. You learn how to shoot. You learn how to do just about everything you would do in the military the first 2 summers. Second 2 summers, the military academy will send you off into the world. You'll be serving with regular Army units. You'll be doing really cool things as a pseudo second lieutenant, sharing responsibility for a platoon-sized element, typically around 40 to 50 soldiers. And then there are other programs that you can participate in that are more academic in nature. We can get to that in a minute. But lots of cool stuff to do in the summer. Cadets really long for the summer. They want to break away from the books and go run around in the woods and shoot at things. During the summers, cadets participate in military programs and courses to include airborne school, air assault school, scuba diving, survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. A lot of really cool things to do. If you're applying to West Point and you don't look at that slide and say, that looks cool, you're probably not applying for the right reasons. Some other semesters abroad, internships, back to qualification schools. Again, these things you can find online. We have a gym class at West Point. Now, bear in mind, every class you take, it's called Department of Physical Education, or DPE classes. We don't call them gym classes. It's all the military angle, of course. Men and women will take boxing. And I'll tell you right now, it's not so that we can send you off into the world and defeat Mike Tyson. I think to something that Congressman Massett said earlier, we're looking to develop confidence. Everybody will fail. You will fail. If you haven't failed yet, you will fail at West Point. And when we all sit down and talk to you, we're going to be looking to see how you bounce back. West Point will find your weak link, and we'll be very happy to tell you what it is. And we want to see that you're able to get back up again. Taking boxing as a plebe or a freshman is a great way to find out that you can get hit in the face, knocked to the ground, and you can get back up again and continue with the mission. Some of the other classes, DPE classes that you'll take throughout the 4 years. We're Division I in many of our sports. We have 26 NCAA sports. We have club teams. And then we also have a very, very comprehensive intramural program. Bottom line is, every single cadet will participate in a sport, whether it's on the NCAA level, or as a club team, or as an intramural team. You don't go back to your barracks after class and sit around and watch Netflix. That's the typical day. You start early, you go to bed late. That's what it pretty much boils down to. If you're sitting here, you probably understand that we do have a legacy of leadership. 2 presidents of the United States, 47 senators. Some of these people you recognize, hopefully most of them you do. And then I want to get into the admissions process. So at the end of the day, we're looking for that well-rounded candidate. I'm going to zip through these slides because I think I just want to talk to you for a couple of minutes. I think I've got about 3 or 4 minutes left. I want to let you know that I don't consider myself to be a recruiter. I'm an advisor, and I think everybody else here would probably agree with that. It's not my job to convince you to go to West Point. If you want to go to West Point, that's fantastic, and I'm here to help you through that process. I don't want to convince somebody to go to West Point who really doesn't want to go to West Point. Throughout the course of your application process, we'll probably talk from time to time, and I'll develop a sense as to how serious you are throughout that process. I would tell you that if you're a junior, the process really starts for you coming up in another 4 or 5 months. If you're a senior, hopefully you're well embedded in the process. You're working on your application at West Point, and you're working on your congressional application and your senatorial applications. As Congressman Mass said, don't procrastinate. I'm a procrastinator. I'm notorious within my family and probably within my office for putting things off until the very last minute. And 99% of the time I can pull it out. This is not one of those things you pull out at the last minute, I promise you. Many components of the application process are based on your completion of earlier components. So you can't wake up 2 weeks before the application is due and think you're going to knock it all out. It's not going to happen. So I definitely want you to think about that. I had a couple of questions earlier this morning. What's the one thing I can be doing right now? Prepare for the ACT most important thing you can do. Take a course, work with a tutor, buy a book, but don't just walk in thinking that you're a straight A student, so you're going to knock the test down and emerge victorious. It's not going to happen. Or at least if it does happen, you could have done much better with the help of a course or a tutor. Single most important thing you could do. Get involved in sports, activities, clubs. Don't do it just for the feather in your cap. Do it because you enjoy it. But when you do it, look for those leadership positions. Look for opportunities to grow personally and in terms of your own leadership, and learn how to lead other peers of yours. We're looking for leaders, we're looking for fitness abilities, and we're also looking for academic performance. This is how it breaks down. The CFA is very important. Train for it. I don't care if you think you're a real stud. The basketball throw is one component of the CFA, and I can promise you, if you've never done it before, you're not going to show up on the day of the assessment and do a good job. That's the type of thing that it's more technique than it is strength, to be quite honest with you. The DOT is medical evaluation. Again, West Point won't invite you to take the DOT until you've completed a very significant portion of the rest of your application. DOT takes several weeks to schedule and it takes several weeks to get an answer back. Oftentimes, there may be a red flag against a medical examination. Most of those red flags are easily addressed, but it takes time to address them. So if you postpone your CFA, if you postpone your school official evaluations, if you postpone your essay, and you get down towards, December timeframe, for example, and then you finally get an invitation to take the document, it may be too late. Even if you're in December and your application isn't due until January 30th. Nominations, I won't get into that. And this is something you really ought to ask yourself. Again, when we sit down, I personally will interview candidates on behalf of West Point admissions, and then I also work with Congressman Mass and several other nominating authorities in South Florida. We all interview a lot of candidates, year in, year out, and I've been doing this for 15, 16 years, I think. We get a sense for who's really interested and who's not. When you come in for an interview, be yourself. Just be yourself. Be honest with yourself, and then provide honest answers. Why do you want to go to West Point? Well, I want to serve my country. That's great. That sounds fantastic. What does a 16, 17, 18-year-old know about serving his or her country, though? That's kind of a very hollow textbook answer. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear why you really want to go to West Point. I want to know why you really want to serve. Maybe you want the adventure. Maybe you want to challenge yourself. I don't know. But don't just come in and say you want to serve your country and we have the best country in the world. We do, and I can say that as a 50-year-old because I've been all over the world and I've seen some of the most horrible places in the world, and I can come home and I can take a look around and say, yeah, we really do have the best country in the world. With faults, but this is the best country in the world. Unless you're a very unusual 17-year-old, I'm not sure if you can say that yet. But in any event, SLE, apply for it. Apply for it. If you get in, fantastic. If you don't get in, don't worry about it. Many kids who get into SLE don't get into West Point. Many kids who don't get into SLE get into West Point. Lots of things happen between your junior year of high school and your senior year of high school that can change your candidate profile. Field Force team, again, we're here to help you. We're here to advise you. Call, ask us questions. Please don't call just because you want to, constantly be in touch, because I'm working with about 400 candidates a year. And there's always at least 10 or 15 who want to call me every week. We don't do this full time. This is a part-time gig for us. It's a volunteer gig. And again, just our advice to you. And finally, I would just say, read up on everything you can. Watch some good movies. There's a handful of books that we would recommend. And try to get as smart about the process, but as smart about the life as a cadet at West Point, but more importantly, life as an Army officer and the expectations that are out there for you as an Army officer. And with that, I'm done. I'll be in the back of the room. I don't think we have time for Q&A right now, but I'll be in the back of the room afterwards. Please feel free to come on up and ask me whatever questions you have. Thanks.
In typical Army fashion, they ran over a little bit with their time. You might want to stand up for a minute. I know those were stretch your legs if you need to. I'm not going to go through the whole brief. I've got a few talking points here that I'm going to go into. I'll give you a little bit of a brief background about myself. My name is Sean Quinn. I grew up in Martin County. I went to Palm City Elementary School, Stewart Middle School, Martin County High School. I was a varsity athlete. I played tennis. Didn't give much thought to military service until I was recruited to play tennis at the Naval Academy. Wasn't sure I wanted to do it. Took a foundation scholarship to go to New Mexico Military Institute. Met a lot of people there, got a taste of what the camaraderie of military service feels like, and I was hooked. Made it through the Naval Academy, served as a surface warfare officer for 7 years, got to be stationed in Hawaii, Coronado, Camp Pendleton, and then after my military service, I did about 13 years as a defense contractor, working at the Naval Education and Training Command in Pensacola, Florida. So why the Naval Academy for me? My background was I was always very interested in naval warfare. I was always very interested in military history. And for me, it was a natural fit. Some of the statistics I'm going to read off to you are not bragging, they're just things I'm proud of. Depending upon where you look, the Naval Academy is the #1 public school in America, the #4 best undergraduate engineering program in America, the #6 liberal arts college in America. We have 26 majors, 35 varsity sports. Something that may be interesting to most of you, upon graduation and the completion of military service, Naval Academy graduates are the second highest earning graduates of many universities in America. Didn't necessarily work out for me that way, but it's out there. 8-to-1 student to faculty ratio. I've got a daughter at the University of Florida. They don't get 8-to-1 ratios. They're big classrooms, big forums. 89% graduation rate. Does anyone know what the 4-year tuition costs are at the Naval Academy? $0.
I wouldn't pay to go there either.
Not only is it free, you actually get paid. You're sworn in, you're in the military, you get about $1,500 a month. Your first couple of years, you don't see any of that. Toward the end, you end up, I think, getting $500 a month, which is plenty of money because you don't ever get paid. The application process is something that we're all very in tune with. Last year, the Naval Academy had 16,265 applicants. 1,183 students were accepted. 91% of those were varsity athletes. 68% of those were captains of a varsity team in high school. Standardized test scores seem to be one of the largest focal points that we see in the admissions process, and the reason being is that there's so many qualified candidates, they have to draw the line somewhere. The Naval Academy, the average SAT score in math is between a 610 and a 720. The average verbal score is a 620 to a 710. ACT English and reading is 52 to 66, and ACT math is a 26 to a 32. These are challenging numbers. I don't go to the Naval Academy if I applied today with my grades when I was in high school. It just keeps getting harder and harder, and more interestingly, there's more qualified candidates every year than there ever were before. And that's what makes the admissions process so challenging for us. A couple of things we mentioned as well. I didn't get directly into the Naval Academy, I mentioned that. I went to the Naval Academy Foundation Program. That's a foundation scholarship program where you go to junior colleges throughout the country. Typically, junior college programs that support certain athletic programs that the Naval Academy is looking to fill. There's also the Naval Academy Prep School, just like the Military Academy Prep School, mostly varsity athletes and mostly people who had previously served in the military. Some of the other things that people should do, in my opinion, is if you have an opportunity to apply for the STEM camp, they have a really great STEM program. They also have summer seminar. Summer seminar is an immersion program over the summer. It gives students an opportunity to be a midshipman for the week and to experience the process. Summer seminar is actually more difficult to get into to the Naval Academy because a lot of people realize that it's such an important opportunity that they apply to it even if they have no intention of attending the Naval Academy. And then lastly, I just want to talk a little bit about this process. Like Chris, I've been doing this now for about 11 years. I work with this Congressional District. I also work with Congressman Deutsch's office down south. I've interviewed about 500 kids in this process. Also, I'm the Naval Academy Blue and Gold Officer for the Treasure Coast. So anyone who wants to go to the Naval Academy, I personally interview them. I write up an interview report. I create a report that then gets uploaded to the Naval Academy, and that's something that's actually considered during the admissions process. So the guidelines that I would give to the young candidates out there is don't miss a deadline, ask questions, and if you don't know what to do, and just be a sponge. I like it. The earlier you start, the better. I would say, how many people in here right now are seniors in high school? Any juniors? Any sophomores? Any freshmen? Perfect. So again, depending upon where you are in that process, you've got a lot of time to get yourself ready. If you're in the seniors group, I hope that the last 4 years have been productive and that you're coming in competitive. Each year you have more of an opportunity to close the gap if you're not there. If you do go to the board and you don't get the nomination, or if you get the nomination and you don't get the appointment, what I tell people is there's a lot of ways to become an officer in the military. The service academies are just one. Lots of kids go to ROTC programs. Lots of kids find a way. They enlist. They become officers through the enlistment process. So again, I'll be in the back. I'm happy to answer any questions. I didn't need to bring a lot of stuff because the Naval Academy is kind of my wheelhouse. I know the process. I'm happy to help. And again, I'll have a business card in the back. If anybody wants to contact me directly or email me or set up an appointment to talk about the school, I'm happy to help. All right, thank you.
All right, so we're getting this up. I'll introduce myself. Thank you very much. I am Second Lieutenant Taylor Cotton. I'm a recent graduate of the Air Force Academy. Just about 4-ish months ago, back in May, I just graduated, commissioned into the Space Force. So I have a lot less experience in the admissions role. However, I am trained and absolutely willing to help you all. I'm less seasoned in my elbows and digs towards other services, so I gotta brush up on that. So I'll just smile for now and talk a little bit about the Air Force Academy and what we have to offer. Okay.
About the Air Force Academy, or those who come.
It takes more than smart and good grades.
It takes grit.
It's for the I never quit students, the relentless, persevering, most likely to keep trying until I reach my best students.
Because we will go on to lead others, push boundaries, save lives, and represent American ideals.
If you've got what it takes, prove it.
Awesome. I always like to kind of start with that video because I also don't like the term recruiter. In no way, shape, or form am I here to convince you. You're here to convince us. So it is a privilege to go to this institution and any of these institutions, and it is up to you to prove to us and to show your stuff and showcase yourself in the best way possible that you are what service academies are looking for as cadets and midshipmen. So a little bit about me. I said that I was in the Space Force now. I am a space operator in the U.S. Space Force. I earned my bachelor's of science degree in management, and I actually grew up here, so just over in Jensen Beach, Florida. Was there practically my whole life, and I actually earned my nomination through Congressman Mass's office. I went to school with Mr. Quinn's daughter over at Jensen. Some of you are actually familiar from the admissions panel, so I'm absolutely thrilled to be back, and this is so nostalgic and just a great way for me to give back and kind of full circle complete this dream of mine of helping individuals like yourselves walk through my shoes, and then end up maybe in this position. So I'm really, really happy to be back, and I have a little bit of, foresight into what the Academy is, since I'm not all that far removed, for Service Academy life. So if you have questions about cadet life and what that is, I'm really fresh out of that. So please try and retain those questions throughout the end when I'm in the back. So my hobbies, little fun facts, my contact information, but we'll just press forward. So similar to all Service Academies, we all kind of echo the same mission statement. I'll let you read that. Here at the Air Force Academy, we look at that whole person concept. So what we look for in our cadets. Kind of branching off that foundational aspect of our mission statement, what 3 pillars, what we're looking for in our cadets and what we try and track for you, what's quantifiable to us. So that being academics, athletics, and military. So first we're on to academics. We're number 3 public college in the U.S. as a U.S. today, and some of these numbers can be updated we are actually now number 1 for aerospace and aeronautical engineering. We compete very heavily in most of our STEM programs as well as our liberal arts programs. I'll kind of blow through some of this. Everyone did such a wonderful job already talking about the Service Academies, and all this can be found online, but I'll talk a little bit more about my experience and more about what the Air Force Academy exclusively offers. That being about 32 different majors as well as 12 different minors, 8 of which being foreign languages, so that gives a really great overview. We try at the Air Force Academy to rotate a lot of our majors. You'll see space warfighting is on there. That is brand new as of 2 years ago. And we're constantly shifting and altering our lists to help better accommodate for our cadets. We want you to study something you're interested in, and maybe even something that you'd like to translate into your AMC for your career afterwards in the Air Force or Space Force, but that isn't necessarily the case. I mentioned that I was a management major, and now I'm a space operator. Those don't necessarily correlate, but I was really interested in management, and I was able to pursue that, and now I was able to earn my career choice, my number 1 career choice as a space operator. So we're really trying to satisfy you in all areas, and academics being one of them. Athletics. Just to echo other service academies, every cadet is an athlete in one way or form or fashion or another. So when I went to the academy, I was not a recruited athlete, but I did walk onto the track team, and I was able to compete in the NCAA competitive status as a javelin thrower. That was really odd series of events. I never did javelin before. I never did track in high school, but it actually had to do with the basketball throw, funny enough. So practice that. And then after a year of competing as a D1 athlete, I thought, hey, I should move on to something different, maybe try something else new. And then I ended up doing 2 years of women's rugby for our club sport. We are 5-time national champions in our 15s and 7s divisions, which is super awesome, and really thrilled to kind of share those stats with you, and amongst many other club sports. And finally, we have Squadron Girls, where you compete on a more casual level with about 20 to 40 of your best friends from your squadron. Overarching, just to say, everybody is going to be participating in a sport one way or another. We also have the physical fitness test and aerobic fitness test. This is not exclusive to the Air Force Academy. Every service academy has that. You'll be performing these once a semester, so twice annually, consisting of a series of exercises as well as a 1.5-mile run. Basic cadet training. In order to enter the military in any form or fashion, you will need to complete some kind of basic training. We call it BCT. This is a 6-week-long program, 3 weeks of which being kind of your military etiquette, how to wear the uniform, how to form out those common courtesies and customs, and then the other 3 weeks being much more physically oriented, problem solving, creative thinking, how well do you work with others, how well do you perform under pressure. Something I always like to say for basic cadet training, we look to challenge you in every way we can. We are there to break you down. We're also there to pick you back up and build you back into a better version of yourself. Basic cadet training, its purpose is to have you look in the mirror, reflect on yourself objectively, understand what you are, who you are, what your limits are, and then push past those. Every service academy is going to train you that way, and hopefully every aspect of the military as well. We're just giving you a taste of that with BCT. Day 1 as a cadet. I will skip this for now. I'll be in the back, but I'll talk a little bit more about my cadet life and what it was like as we go on. The Academy really offers some pretty exclusive, amazing opportunities, whether that be our summer programs. You have your basic cadet training your first freshman year, then you flow into airmanship programs, whether that be our jump school for skydiving or our soaring program for gliders. We now have a brand new space program where, in addition to traveling participate in a parallel flight that provides you with 3 to 5 minutes of weightlessness. Just like you see in the movie, it's pretty rad, super awesome experience. That's brand new as of this year, as well as some of our cyber and satellite programs. Here's some other programs we offer for the summers. If you're interested in cultural immersions, foreign languages, the like, we have some really great opportunities there. Your junior year, you'd be asked to participate in Operations Air Force, where we have you shadow lieutenants at any Air Force base in the country or even in the world, as well as summer research programs that can really fluctuate anywhere between working in maybe your local or state government, or maybe you want to do a summer camp at Chick-fil-A. I know for me, I was very lucky. I somehow swung it to where the Air Force paid for me to do a month-long backpacking trip in the Wyoming, like Wind River Mountains. That was my leadership experience. Pretty amazing experience for me. And we also have our Service Academy and ROTC exchanges. Those are pretty sought-out opportunities as well. Also offered by any other Service Academy, where we will trade you for something of lesser value, and you'll experience that this semester. Cadet clubs. So we have a wide array of cadet clubs, not all being encompassed on this slide, but I challenge you to find something that you're maybe passionate about or interested in, and get involved. We have all of these here for you as cadets, and we want to provide valuable, interesting experiences. And participating in a club is just one of those ways that we provide that to you. And if you do find something you're interested in that we don't currently offer as a club, you're more than welcome to find a POC and then kick off that club yourself. So we have everything from women's rugby to in the stairwell, which is our chorus, as well as some of the saber drill. We have judo if you're into mixed martial arts. We have handball. We have climbing, mountaineering, everything. So really great opportunities there. So after the Air Force Academy, what do we have to offer you? So we have about 35 different career fields for the Air Force. Typical breakdown of our graduating classes consists of about 50% of them going pilot, and now, as of now, 10% of us go to Space Force, and the other 10% going to graduate school, with that extra 30% going into your regular AFSC classes, being acquisitions, public affairs, intelligence, the like. So this is kind of a breakdown. It's a little skewed for whatever reason, but you can just kind of read through that. I won't get into it too much because, again, you can find this on our website. This is a lot of information, but take a picture, go on our Academy Admissions website, and explore these career opportunities, because we offer quite a bit. In our Space Force career opportunities, we actually only have 5 as of right now. So in 2019, we came out as a just been kind of building and growing, and acquiring a lot of our individuals through the Air Force, and now we're commissioning officers into the Space Force as of 2 years ago. We have about 5 different opportunities, whether that be a space operator in the middle, you have acquisitions, intelligence, engineer, and cyberspace. So these are really great options for kind of STEM-oriented career opportunities. So the Air Force Academy application, I won't belabor the point. The application process is similar to every other Service Academy that you've been for. I thought our West Point General did a really amazing breakdown of the applications process, so this should be no surprise. We ask that you're physically competitive as well as medically qualified. You'll have the DOCR process just like any other Service Academy. Here's some of our academic averages. A point that I always like to make about being academically competitive, I like to explain that these are just averages. So don't self-eliminate, don't disqualify yourself just because you maybe don't make it within those brackets. There are people who get to the academies who are much, much smarter than those averages, and also people who are not. When I was going through 4 years ago, I was deficient in every category. Slightly, but I did not make those averages, and I earned a direct appointment to the Air Force Academy. So please don't discount yourself or try and say, like, oh, I won't be able to make it, because you certainly will never know if you don't try. If you don't hit that complete button, if you don't compete, I'll tell you right now, you have a 0% chance of getting into any academy if you don't complete those applications. Here's some examples of character and leadership qualities we look for. These are all really great, clubs, opportunities that demonstrate who you are as a person to us and what we look for in cadets. And then finally, our nominations process that we touched on already. We do have a preparatory school as well as the Falcon Foundation preparatory schools that are civilian institutions that are anywhere in the country that we can provide scholarships for. They are 8-month-long programs that I had spoken to earlier, and we will invite you to maybe partake in these opportunities. You cannot directly apply to them. Typically, these are offered to individuals who maybe just aren't up to the cut to be a direct appointee, but we are still interested in having you. So we invite you to take place in these opportunities and hopefully curb those maybe weaknesses and apply in that next year. Here's a quick breakdown of what it looks like from applicant to cadet. As you see, there's a pretty dramatic decrease headed towards the cadets that we actually end up accepting into the cadet wing. Again, no secret. You can look up these numbers on, for any past year. And how do you get started? We invite you to go to academyadmissions.com, fill out that pre-candidate questionnaire as a junior. March 1st is when it opens. Hopefully then you'll be invited into the candidate phase. You'll open that candidate kit, and you'll go from there with teacher recommendations, transcripts, SAT, ACT scores, extracurriculars, everything. Summer seminar, that's for you juniors and sophomores to be thinking about, as well as the Future Falcon program, which is more like a news source for really just anybody, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, it doesn't matter. Here's some dates. And with that, just to kind of recap what we offer, we're free of charge. We have no room and board costs, and we offer you that guaranteed career afterwards in the Air Force or Space Force. And we do offer you that monthly stipend. I remember my senior year I was making about $1,000 a month, pretty rad. And then we have our medical and dental coverage, just like every other service academy. So really amazing opportunities there. And then here's my contact information. The QR code is a little wonky right now, but please feel free to take a photo of my information. That's my work style. I respond very well to text or calling, email, also a great opportunity. But appreciate your guys' time. Again, very happy to be here back in my hometown, speaking to you all, and hopefully I'll see you on the other side over at the Academy. Thank you.
I go on to any of these service academies. They're kind of like Dave Ramsey says, times two best. There's good, better, and best. There's good. Who's better? Air Force. And the best. Coast Guard. But you can't go wrong with any because all the services give us the opportunity to serve the nation and the opportunity to learn and grow. So just a couple of quick other differences about the Coast Guard and the Coast Guard Academy compared to others. First of all, the Coast Guard is not just a domestic service, right? It's not all within range of the U.S. coast. Most of my career was spent far out of the sea. I probably spent more time in Central and South America than in North America during parts of my career. Visited about 70 different countries, from China, Japan, and Russia to Greenland, Norway, literally all of South America. So it is an international service. The Coast Guard Academy generates about 50% of Coast Guard officers. So for the water services, the academies are bigger, but they produce a smaller percentage of the officers. So your team, your classes at the academy, you're going to be serving with those people all through your career. So there's a cohesiveness and camaraderie that's a little bit different. About 80% of Coast Guard Academy graduates go on to serve beyond their committed service, and about 75% get paid graduate school. A lot of the other services have paid graduate school programs, but I think the percentage of about 75 to 80% of Coast Guard Academy graduates get paid graduate school. I went to Coast Guard sent me to the University of Miami, where, and I was so I could go back and teach chemistry to cadets, which was another fun job. And then one other thing that I can say, and I'd say this part is probably true about others, but I have definitely the facts to back it up. Having sat on promotion boards and assignment panels for officers, somebody who kind of struggled at the Coast Guard Academy, maybe got like a 2.3 grade point average, but made it through, had the perseverance to graduate, then goes on to go to grad school, gets an MPA from Harvard with a 3.8 grade point average. Because the work ethic, the time management, that long day class getting, balancing academics, athletics, military training, the teamwork that you develop, all the skills get poured into the rest of your career, the military mostly, and make that cadet graduate much more successful later on in life. So there's a couple things. We mentioned prep schools. Coast Guard Academy does have a prep school system similar to Naval Academy. In fact, we use Naval Academy Prep School for some students. Marion Military Institute in Mexico, Georgia Military Institute for couple others. I like to say that I have a cadet at the Academy now. She's the daughter of some friends of ours that I helped through her prep school here with some FaceTime chemistry tutoring, and she's now successful cadet at the Coast Guard Academy. I mentioned the summer programs that we have, which are hugely important. And I would suggest that all the students here, if you're thinking about any of the academies, visit each table, learn a little bit about each academy, give yourself multiple options. Again, mine were Navy and Coast Guard. I ended up picking Coast Guard. And like I said, I wanted to talk a little bit about the why, because what I want to close with is to thank, first of all, thank Congressman Best, his staff, especially Jordan, for putting this event together, and University State College for giving us the venue, the student candidates for their willingness to serve, and the parents for the role that they've done in bringing up students, young people who are willing to serve, because that's become increasingly rare. And then last thing, since I'm not quite over time yet, is one story just about recruiting. And I don't consider myself a recruiter, I'm just an alum. But a couple of military recruiters were going to a high school that offered 1,000 kids. So Army recruiter got first, because they didn't get to go first for some reason. And said, hey, join the Army, you can put a heavy pack on your soldier, on your back, march around the world with both things on. And the Navy guys up there. Join the Navy there. Join the Navy. They can go on a ship, sail around the world, do the foreign wars, see lots of good stuff. Air Force recruiter gets up there. Says, join the Air Force. That was a great day, by the way, the other Academies. That was good. The Air Force recruiter gets up there and says, join the Air Force, you get to fly around the world, play golf at some of the finest golf. The Coast Guard recruiter had already met the quota and was actually playing golf. And then the Marine recruiter gets up there and says, I don't think anybody has what it takes to join my corps. If you think I'm wrong, you need me back. So if you think the services are for you, and you think you might be for the service, please visit every table in the back, join us, and whatever you choose to do, I wish you success as you lead and serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. These have been extremely informative for myself, and I'm very glad to see a lot of emphasis on academics and on engineering. I'm an engineer, all my degrees are in chemical engineering, so I do appreciate that. I love singing. I'm an opera singer, and my favorite song to sing is United States National Anthem. And I'll tell you why. I'm a citizen by choice. I choose to come here and become a U.S. citizen and serve on academic position, the country, right? It's the best nation in the world for so many reasons. There are problems, we all know, but we have the capacity, we have the money to fix it, we have the brains to fix it. And it is one of the greatest places in the world, the best country in my view, because in great part of the services, because of your sacrifice, because of your future service. And I'm very excited to see all these young men and women excited about working, becoming officers of our armed forces, and serving this great nation. It has been a pleasure having you here. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Now, please stand for the retiring of the call.
Part time, march. Center, face. Present, arms. Order, arms.